Welcome to the February 18th OpenZFS production user call. We have Andrew, Dan, Rob, Steve, Jan, Stu, and myself, Michael, so far. And Andrew has been tackling LimoZFS ACLs that resulted in a panic, and it looks like you're making some very good progress there. So watch this space. Anything to add to that?
Yep, we want to try to get it upstream, the results are upstream. Um, we've we've gotten the guys at Claire's have been the one actually doing the code work on it, and so that's where we stand now.
Rod Speed. Rob, what you got?
Unmute button. Cool. I have just posted a pull request for adding ve- very new Intel processors have dedicated instructions for SHA-512. The previous SHA-NI instructions from like 2013 or something do SHA-1 and SHA-256. Intel has recently extended it to 512. However, this is only in very new hardware, specifically anything Intel Core Ultra Series 2, which is the code name, which was released in December 24. So basically, if you bought a new high-end Intel desktop in the last 6 months, maybe you have that. The code names are Arrow Lake and Lunar Lake. I thought it was in my laptop, which is a brand new T14, but that has an Arrow Lake U, which is a die shrink of the previous one, which doesn't have it. So I got very excited, and then it didn't happen. It will also be in Xeon 6, which I think is later this year or next year. So basically, I would like, if someone has a computer with one of these things in it, I would love to talk to you and just to get some performance numbers. I've used Intel's emulator to verify correctness. So that's really loud, sorry. I've used Intel's emulator to verify correctness, so I think it's good, but I'd actually like to see the performance numbers and just make sure that it actually is, the 3 to 4x quicker
What
format
operations are
used to.
supported? If they just turn it on and load a ZFS kernel, is it magically using it, or do they need to do something pretty obscure, like a special checksum
Uh,
algorithm?
so for Linux, it needs to be on a kernel higher than 6.13, I think,
What's that
which is
number?
kind of 6.13, I think. Just needs that to expose the CPU ID bits. But then, yeah, the options will be either load the module and look at one of the K-stats, which shows the checksum micro benchmarks, or not load the module, not even have ZFS on it. Just I can give you the commands to compile the bit of the test suite that will exercise it, and then just run one of the test suite programs which runs that in user space and shows it. So yeah, you don't if you have one of these machines running Linux, you do not even need to install anything in the kernel or have a ZFS there. I really just want one round of the benchmark program just to satisfy myself that the performance is there and I haven't totally screwed it up.
Especially regressed or otherwise. That's great. Okay, well, I will reach out on social media when I have a moment. Others, please do the same.
It would
Uh,
probably it would probably be helpful if we knew the exact model numbers rather than the Arrow Lake and Lunar Lake, because there are so many Intel lakes that it's hard to keep track of what processes are which lakes.
Ultra Series 2 is what
Yeah,
I
so
heard.
yeah, so it's yes, no, that is a good point. I could find that out, but yes, uh it is Core Ultra Series 2 is sort of the marketing name that covers them both. And the only one in there that is not the only one in under that marketing umbrella that does not have it is what's called uh, Arrow Lake U, which is a laptop part. So if you had a Core Ultra Series 2 desktop or NAS or whatever, then you'd have it. If you had uh, there is a laptop part. It's very weird. Intel are not great at this.
Sound
I
weird.
know,
But
that's my
there,
point.
but there is also I also put in the PR. I'll give you the number if you want it. It is PR 18233, and in some of the text in there is a command you can run just to see if your system has support for it.
You said 18133?
18233.
Thank
Sorry.
you. I tried. No, I'm trying.
Um,
Um,
there's also an ARM64 extension for SHA-512. It's optional, but apparently implemented on all the Apple desktop and laptop chips.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, this
And it
won't help that.
exists
This won't
on
help that, but
certain.
that's cool.
It also exists on certain server CPUs because it's just ARM version 8.2. So pretty much the base version most people build their ARM 8 cores from. It is an optional feature, but it's apparently not uncommon to see it implemented. So this could also be interesting for budget cloud hosters.
I mean, absolutely. If anyone has that hardware, if anyone has hardware that they know has some kind of accelerated crypto
So
primitives in
my
Silicon and
MacBook
ZFS,
should.
and ZFS is not supporting them well, I'm happy to take a look at that if they can give me access to hardware. MacBooks I don't care about because we're not supported there. So
Yeah, but
um,
it is
well,
supported inside
Jorgen
of
supports them.
QEMU apparently. So
Um,
yeah, but sort of. It's actually not quite the same.
okay.
There is a bug. There is a bug we know about that has only ever been seen once on a MacBook Air 1 running ZFS inside QEMU on the MacBook.
Goodness.
okay.
Okay.
But I've never been able to reproduce it when I borrowed my daughter's MacBook. So yeah, so I'm mostly like, yeah, well, like don't do that. And also the person I got the report from is smart enough to actually dig into that, figure it out if you want to.
The primary motivation why I was asking is because it would be interesting to know if SHA-512 takes advantage of the 64-bit nature of intermediate values to run it twice the data path with instead of 32-bit. Or if the implementation of the instruction just has enough internal concurrency that wider values don't have with throughput. Because when implemented in software, SHA-512 is often faster than SHA-256 because it just uses 64-bit values. So for each instruction you schedule, you process twice the amount of input.
Yeah,
Save it for the architecture call, but go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, you can get a little bit more, but the dedicated silicon is always going to win out because it's just not a very parallelizable algorithm. You have to you can do better if you feed it in the right way, but ZFS currently is not really architected to feed it well like that.
Which is why doing twice as much per clock cycle would help by using wider values.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Rob, is this a one-off operation, or if there was a mini Nook PC that doesn't cost a fortune to ship to your island, that might be worth pursuing?
I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay, cool. Hey,
amen. I mean, yeah, it's just a piece of hardware that I don't have and I'm curious about. If I couldn't get it, like I am pretty confident that the patch is right, but I don't like, and I know it's definitely correct, assuming Intel's emulator is correct, which I have to because they do their chip development with it. But so like I'd be happy enough to go without it. Like the PR is already up, but I don't really like asking people to review and merge code that I don't have total confidence in myself.
Okay, well, everyone listening, please see if you have a friend of a friend of a friend who might have that recent hardware and I'm sure Rob will be very kind in his hand holding of how to use his code.
Yeah, I just checked everything I've got access to and nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing else. I got a lot of
Okay.
AMDs.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like no one. Well, it's not available in a server part yet, and no one's been buying Intel for a while. So
Be nice. But yeah.
yeah, I got so excited when I saw this thing. I'm like, oh, my computer has it. And then I'm like, why isn't it detecting it? Oh, maybe I should have done that before I started the work, but I had fun. So,
Oh boy. Ah,
Yeah, unfortunately, most of my stuff is server parts here, and my most
yeah.
recent desktop stuff is actually AMD. So
and you'll
Yeah,
probably
we
have a
understand
nifty
them.
machine with only the 4 gigs of RAM you can afford. So
oh,
oh, I'm sorry, man. Okay. Shall we move on, or do you have other hardware to test, etc.? Thank you for that. Chime in as appropriate. And Dan Langell, who's jumped in, has just posted some discoveries where deleting 2 snapshots saved the day. And it's not clear if it was a space issue or something that behaved like a space issue. Dan, would you like to
You
summarize
can
this for
reload
us?
that page now. I added
Oh,
more stuff over
yes,
top.
sir. Reloading.
Basically, this host was upgraded to FreeBSD 15 on the weekend. And then about midnight UTC last night, it started complaining. One postfix host, Cliff2, started complaining about not being able to accept incoming email because of a lack of space. So I checked zpool status. There's lots of space on this drive. There's like 232 gig free on this drive. I checked quotas and reservations. There are none on the zpool, on the data set in question, or on any of the ancestor data sets. I tried various things to find out what was going on. And eventually Telnet indicated that I could have figured this out from the initial log message, but the error message occurred right after the what was it, mail from? So it hadn't even received the data yet, and it started giving this error message. And eventually I started thinking, well, maybe it is space, and it's not really reporting it as space. So I went and looked at snapshots and deleted 2 recent make jail snapshots. Maybe not recent.
Sorry to jump.
They're at the bottom.
My browser's all over the place. Go ahead, continue. I'll try to catch up
So
with you.
after deleting those fix started working again. I have no idea why. And it deleted less than a gig of data from the snapshots. Maybe definitely less than 2 gig. Can't remember the numbers now. So I'm at a loss as to why this was actually a problem.
Did you destroy anything which could have had a quota or reservation on it?
Just snapshots, just 2 snapshots. The data set it was deleted from had no reservation. Neither did its parent or the Z pool it's in. I did notice that none of the Z pools have been upgraded since moving to 15, but I don't think that should cause a problem. It's one of these little mysteries that might come out sometime in the future.
Could there have been some overlay FS or something odd to that mail spool directory only? Because it sounds like it was only that.
Well, I thought about that, and I did restart postfix. That didn't help. I restarted the jail. That didn't help. And none of the snapshots would have been mounted overlaid. If
And
they were, it would have said refused to delete them, wouldn't it? I am heartened by the silence. because it means nobody else knows either. I'm just glad I found a solution without actually finding a cause.
Is there something in postfix that's doing a pseudo reservation under the covers?
If it was, I
I mean,
don't think
that's not a both of them now, wouldn't it?
postfix is ZFS aware.
No, but I mean it's like reserving memory type of thing. It goes out and creates something maybe. It's been a long time since I did anything with postfix, so that's the straw I'm grasping at. Just
So
because applications do really stupid things sometimes.
assuming that's true, why would deleting 2 snapshots free up that memory?
And why would
Not counted.
postfix allocate so much memory for a single mail? I mean, it could be that you're still living very close to that edge, but in that case, what is it?
Where is that breakpoint? And that's
There's another host, another physical box, Cliff 1, another physical box on R730-03, which is running Cliff 1, which is configured identically, and it was not having the problem.
Also receiving mail and other things.
Identically.
same OS level.
Same OS, same diff in the config. If you search for diff here, you'll see that the postfix configs are identical.
Yeah.
Apart from the host name.
And postfix is at the POSIX level, and it should have absolutely no idea that you did anything under the hood yet.
Yep.
Here we are. Oh boy.
Can you write a 100 gigabyte file of uncompressible data? Just dd/dev random.
Let me find the host. What are you saying to do?
Just try to the same pool, try to write tens of gigabytes of
Yeah.
uncompressible data.
DD
Dev random, block size 1
Yes,
megabyte,
equals
output
dash
some
dev
file name where
random
status
slash
equals progress. I will type it
OS
out into the chat.
slash temp slash
Mr. Bell, hello.
delete me. And then block size equals
I would use 1M just because it runs quicker.
and count
And status
equals
equals progress so that you get
1000 and what progress?
I will type it out.
Sorry?
He'll
He's
type
gonna
in the
type,
chat.
he's gonna type it.
Okay.
Am I that hard to understand?
This
My microphone
any
broken or
call is
something?
an audio miracle. So yes, some of us heard you quite well. Various
Status equals
folks.
progress.
Status equals progress. Yes. Okay.
If
Welcome,
you can
Daniel
write
Bell.
out several gigabytes,
Yeah,
probably
there it goes.
tens or hundred.
It's done.
No warnings, no
happened?
nothing.
I'll show
You
you.
have to leave it run for several seconds or better minutes
I,
to write
I
lots
did a
of
count-
crap.
I did a count of 1000. You said a certain amount.
A meg at a time.
Count 1000 is not really a change. Leave it running for a while until it has written several gigabytes,
Yeah.
enough to make up the difference. So if you can write 20 or 30 gigabytes, then you know that you're not
That would
close to any tipping
be
point.
2000? 20,000.
Giga,
2000.
not mega.
Yeah, the block size is 1 meg. So if you
Yep.
want gig, that's 1000. If we want
Yes.
20 gig, that'll be 20.
20,000.
Okay, there we go. Started.
Delete the file
They
afterwards
should
before
take
you
about
take
20
snapshots of
seconds.
that crap.
60 seconds, really. It's doing about 300 megabytes a second.
That's reasonable. Def random isn't really performance optimized.
Yeah, let's find. Let me change my glasses.
That might help if deleting snapshots help.
Yeah.
Rob, you've been quiet. You secretly have a theory, and we've all been kind of dancing around it.
No, not at all. At this point, I come in with a programmer hat, so I usually go direct to the source code and say, okay,
Yeah.
what test did you actually do before you spat out that log message? But I had a look and I don't have a copy of Postfix on my laptop anymore.
And I'm guessing you
I,
needed the
I,
system up and running so we couldn't do some like science on it. Dan.
Oh,
not necessarily,
Well, Dan
but
just
just
said pragmatically he needed to solve the problem rather than
this is
look some.
interesting. I've filled up the Z pool.
Oh, hey.
Okay.
It's not really a valid test. How many did it write out?
It should write out a report as the last thing DD does when it fails with end of file. Oh, file system full.
It wrote out 17 gig.
Okay, so you're still close to some tipping point. You claimed you had 200 gigs available?
Let's see here. Let's just verify this.
What does the pool status say?
Right.
Or if you want to share your screen, if you really want to dive in, but it is indeed a mystery.
Well, we can try that. Let me just move everything over to a screen we can use. And where's Zoom? There's Zoom. Okay. Share. Where's the share thing? There it is. Replace current share. Now, which one? Desktop. Open system settings. Yes. Take my password. And I need to quit and reopen.
No, naturally. Okay, well,
So
do update the blog post, please. That's
the Z
fascinating.
pool still says it's 200 free, 200 gig free.
Gigs free.
But I've logged into two jails in the system, and they both say out of space. Which is interesting.
There's some hidden jail reservation or quota.
Well, it's data jails. And if you look in the document, I've done all the greps for reservation quota, and there are none. None that I can find. Yeah, ZPL list says there's 208 gig free, and it's 77% full.
Everything's prefixed, sorry.
ZPL, get all data 02 grep.
Here we go. Quotas? Yeah, nothing.
You're not
Okay.
sharing. You're not sharing.
Oh, right. Sorry about that. You had to rejoin to do that. So I'll be just a second.
So there's no quota
Again.
data jails. All I know is ZPL status.
Is this your R pool? Or is it a separate data set?
No, it's a separate data set. It's data 02.
Okay.
Where is my
Now this ZPL does need an upgrade, but it was last scrubbed earlier today. So it seems okay. Sorry for my voice.
no
I mean,
worries. Get
you
well
You're
said,
now.
fine.
you said there's lots of space free in ZPool list, but what does ZFS list say for that?
Please repeat.
What does ZFS list say for the data set of the question. You said
Mhm.
zpool list says there's lots of space free, but that's sort of physical space. ZFS list is the
I'm wondering if you have
what
some kind of
It says
reservation
available
of the
finish.
data
0.
set.
It says available 0. I'll just paste that over just so
And Zoom really
this
doesn't
is
want me
turning
to
out to
share
be a
the right
big
screen.
debugging session for Dan's stuff.
Hey, that's okay. We did it
What
last week with
happens?
Andrew's stuff.
We spent a lot more time doing other stupid stuff, so why not?
So that's interesting. Why available is 0.
Can I suggest doing a ZFS list space dash R space and then data O2, assuming you can show that.
Yeah,
possibly also dash
I'm gonna
T
put it on a
all to get
gist.
your snapshots and everything else.
No, it's not. That wasn't snapshots.
Yeah.
Okay, where are you? Where did Zoom go? That's Zoom Workplace. I don't want that. Where did Zoom go? There it is.
But anyway, that line is saying, yeah, that that data set and all its children and all the snapshots and all the snapshots of its children all together are using 363 gigabytes. And that data set specifically is using, oh, and its snapshots, I think, are using 9.5 gig. So that's the refer. I forget which order it goes, but yeah,
Computer.
I didn't see what the total amount was. So, um,
So when you do recursive ZFS list on the pool, does one of the file systems have available space and the others not? Because that would make sense if one of or more of the data sets had a reservation, which would then subtract from the available space
Oh,
on the
wait,
pool.
wait. Let me find that gist. I want to direct your attention to line 169.
I'm trying. Let's see. Come on, computer. We can do this.
What am I supposed to be looking at to see the line number?
In the gist, I posted the gist into chat.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
coming.
okay.
It's coming. Come on.
Look at line
okay.
169.
So you got 108 gigs in a data set called reserve.
Okay. Found the culprit.
Hmm.
Data 2/reserved. 180 gig reserved, 180 gig available, 90 something kilobytes used. You reserved all the space still available on the pool for the use of a single data set. Reduce the reservation and you will get usable space for all the other data sets.
The reason you weren't seeing it is because you weren't looking in the right place.
Mhm.
Yep. So you probably created that as a safety net so you get an early warning if the pool fills up.
But
You forgot about your safety net.
the problem is there's nothing telling me I'm out of space.
Yes, it does say that to you.
No,
If you look at the
I
column
mean my monitoring.
available,
My monitoring. There's nothing on my monitoring telling me that I'm out of space.
doing df-h or something.
That's not
What
my
does it tell
monitoring.
you?
Well, then work
What
on your
are you
monitoring.
monitoring?
How are you monitoring?
You're monitoring the wrong counter.
Apparently so. I don't disagree with that.
You should see almost 0 bytes available on your normal file systems. Can you run something like df?
Yeah, but I generally, for this C pool, I need to adjust my monitoring or just remove the reserved. I think I
So I
did
assume
as an
you're
experiment some
monitoring.
time ago, and I've totally forgotten about it. And I probably have it on other Z pools as well.
It looks like what you're probably monitoring is the pool free space available. But what you should be monitoring is the available space per file system,
No,
because you can have quotas and reservations on file systems. So not every file system necessarily gets the full available space, because a reserved space, like what you have created with your reservation, is only available to the file system you reserved this for, and I think also to its descendants in the dataset hierarchy, but I'm not sure about that. I would have to look that up. And if you have a quota, that also applies, so that this file system is only available or can only use available space up to its quota.
yeah,
So,
I understand. I am monitoring Z pool status, and
yeah,
basically
that's
the
Let
percentage
him
full.
finish.
That may not suit your needs, but it has suited my needs for the past 20 years until today.
yeah. But what you've done to yourself is you monitored the available space on the pool, but you promised all of it to your dummy reservation file system.
Yeah.
So none of the other file systems get to use
What I
the
should be
available
doing,
space.
what I should be doing is adjusting the value that I'm looking for to monitor. I set this up after reading someone else doing it. I was wondering, well, that might be useful. Let's try it. Many
My
months ago.
my answer is, and probably not going to completely like this, is to monitor both. Because having a reservation is something I have accidentally ran into before when we were just monitoring pools.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted you to look at the everything recursively so we can see that.
Mhm.
Cool. Anything else on that? And is anyone pressed for time before we get to something with a lovely title? And Rob, you're willing to preemptively throw up your hands on like, that's FUD because, hey, you deal with Linuxy things all the time. But this post came across my desk like 2 days ago on let's try OpenZFS on Red Hat Linux. And the author is of the opinion that this is a terrible idea because Red Hat does not support ZFS on root. But let's see how far they got. My highlighting is a mess. So that looks like they've cut to the punchline, but what about getting there? Number one, Rocky Linux 9 with their docs. Convert to rel with extreme prejudice. Oh my, this gets juicier as we go. Designed to convert CentOS, Rocky, or Alma systems to genuine rel. Oh my, okay.
There's a shrink that needs to be called.
Reboot and pray, or a faith healer. I don't know. If it's
Yeah.
getting religious now. Okay, and why this is a bad idea. Let me count the ways. No support from Red Hat. They will not help. Can you reproduce it on a supported system? ZFS is out of tree. Kernel update triggers a DKMS rebuild of the modules. It usually works, but when it doesn't, you're debugging it yourself. initram FS.
Yeah, now this is normal. Like this is
This
like
is not.
I it's like I grant there are there is Red Hat and there is ZFS, and I mash them together in a way that Red Hat says not to do and ZFS says not to do, and it didn't work. To me, I'm reading this,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's why we say don't do that. So this is fine.
I,
Whatever.
I was told not to shoot myself in the foot, but I did load the
Mhm.
weapon, pull the trigger,
Yeah,
and shot myself in the foot.
yeah. Which I'll say, and let this be a warning. This is why we didn't make that up.
What is Stratus, which he's arguing as a solution? Is that a marketing pitch or related
Uh,
technology?
I mean, this is borderline AI sloppy, but in its
Ha.
structure. But Stratus is, I don't know, but it's some kind of control thing over the top of uh maybe XFS these days and LVM, and so it's a thing that tries to piece together all of the Linux pieces to do some of the things that we just do in ZFS. I
Lots.
don't know. I don't know enough about it. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I've never looked because I'm like, why would I want this Rube Goldberg thing when I already just have a
You have
box
the
of
thing.
nice.
It goes back to
Yeah.
proper Linux. It solves someone's itch, and
Yeah.
hey, if you want to use it, great. Here are the ramifications of doing it. OpenZFS scratches a lot of itches, so you'd rather use that. But yeah, that's why we've got 40 different ways to do the exact same thing.
Leave us. Okay, great. I'm leaving that right there and closing the tab. Thank you. Lucas had something. Let's see if that registers before I head back to doc. Ah, yes. It's a theme. That was Lucas having trouble for his book of attempting root-on-ZFS. We discussed it last week as well, or a week before. Moving on. Does anyone have topics before I run through a few?
But I mean,
Yes, Andrew.
on this, on that subject, I think my answer would be pick a distro that actually supports ZFS. They're out there, they exist.
The only anti-statement toward that is there are still applications that require Red Hat only
I know.
and that's what handcuffs people into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware of that, but
Yeah, that again, I fully agree, Andrew, but
those are getting further and further far apart.
yeah, yes, they are, thankfully.
Yeah, thank God.
But I'll also say there is a very workable in between, which is um, don't do ZFS on root. Just do whatever your distro comes with and supports for your root partition. And
Yeah.
but your shells and disks use use ZFS for those.
And that's exactly what we said last week on it too. It's like we use ZFS to protect what's important. The root file system is not important. It's dynamic, it can get fixed, it can be swapped in and out, but my storage that is protected by ZFS, I can move it wherever I want and it's still going to work.
Hallelujah.
I know the bit about the OS is not important, but one of the best things to come from ZFS for me as a systems administrator is boot environments.
Amen, sister.
Mhm.
But I realize that's not what you meant.
They're certainly a nice to have, but if you're stuck on a platform that doesn't support them well due to these legacy applications, then you're stuck on a platform that doesn't support them well due to legacy applications.
So I would argue that the operating system is not important in as much as that it can be recreated from first principles by reinstalling and reapplying your configuration if you had any good sense during the initial installation. But getting to use ZFS feature set on the operating system, for example, for boot environments, is a massive quality of life improvement for the operator.
I would say that can be true, but it's very much dependent on your operation model. And I say this because so when I did sysadmin SRE stuff for years and years and years, I managed to fleet of, by the time we left, it was about 120 machines, and this was all real hardware, no VMs. And we had, it was all Debian. We had ZFS for all our data, but root file system is just X4. And our whole rebuild process was you run a shutdown command with a specialist switch, and it would move all the services away, and then it would set a flag on the root file system such that when it rebooted, it would immediately go into like a network boot. So it would mount, call out to a remote machine, mount an NFS as the root, then it would literally format the root file system, rebuild it according to whatever roles we had set for that machine in configuration management, get everything set up, or all the user accounts, all the services that would need, everything, and then it would reboot again, and it would come back up, pristine install, and it's imported the ZFS pools. We didn't run ZFS on it for all of its life. They used to all be X4 data partitions on hardware RAID cards, but as an operational model, it was exactly the same. So we wouldn't have ever had any benefit for ZFS on the root, just because it's like, oh, we want to upgrade the operating system. We would build out a new, essentially an image, but we didn't do it with an image. And then we just say, cool, reinstall yourself, and off it would go and do it. So, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying everyone should do that instead. My point is more, if you have an operational model that wants boot environments, and you can certainly build around that, then yes, you will have a lovely day. That is a nice thing, but there are other ways to get nice things. So that's ultimately why I say to Linux people, like that way of working is very common in the Linux world. Far more so than the FreeBSD world, from what I've seen of both sides. And like, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's why I usually say to people, yeah, don't worry. If you're just playing with ZFS, if you just want to use it for your data stuff, like, just don't worry about it. Just keep doing whatever you were doing on root. Later, if you're like, gee, I wish I had snapshots on my root partitions, it's like, well, then maybe have a look at it. But yeah, people get very excited about ZFS on root on the next. I'm like, it's cool to have, and I do it on my laptop, but it's like, maybe you have to, depends on what you're trying to do.
Amen.
I'm very non-committal about all these things. I mostly just want to do the job and go home.
Oh, pragmatic is good. And it sounds like you had livestock before it was fashionable.
Yeah, we were a little baffled when people started talking about it excitedly, and we were looking at it like, because it sounded like it was new. Lots of things that sound like it was new. And I'm not saying like we were doing this before it was cool. Like, we were doing, a half-assed version of it, but we were doing what we needed. So I was like, oh,
Or
you're
you
all
were
just talking about the same thing. Well, welcome to the club.
or you were born cool. Okay, moving on. Not to rub root on ZFS in anyone's face, but in looking at OmniOS VM images, I was confused that there is a Solaris reserved partition at the end, which made ZPool expansion difficult, shall we say. And Andrew and I poked at it. We're thinking it's a legacy remnant from the good old days. But if you happen to know what the role of that partition is, and yes, the system booted without it, but it's only a VM, I'm all ears. Moving on. Go ahead.
It may be used for alignment. Seems to be what a lot of people are saying.
At the end there? Really? Maybe?
I don't know. I'm not solidly certain on that. So
Okay. Anyways, it was a mystery, and it made OmniOS more difficult to consume for me, which is not cool because I scripted like the expansion of the FreeBSD images, root-on-ZFS, etc. And I will admit, I thought, I'll just look at the mount output and look for where it's mounted. And I was like, yikes, what's all this?
So that's Solaris reserved.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
that is a valid partition as part of the ZFS creation. It's just that happened to be the name that is like the old SNMP. It's reserved as a type of a partition.
Yes,
So
and I just realized Gpart might be misinterpreting its like hexadecimal like flag of how to identify it, but
no,
no.
those are the partitions are a static list
Hmm.
of types. So that type is a normal Solaris Reserved 1 in Linux with a capital S. So I get, but it's a mapping. It's not something saying really Solaris. It's just the legacy of who originally requested that map.
I see. Hmm.
And my understanding is they chose whatever it is, they chose that hex value because that was the closest value to what it is. But nobody seems to think it actually is doing anything.
Hmm.
That 8 meg reservation on every one of my thousands of disks sitting out there is not doing anything.
Uh-huh.
I'm that's what people seem to be thinking online. I've been searching around to see if I
Oh,
can come
thank
up
you.
with anything for it, but
Uh-huh. So to
nobody
that
seems to have
end,
any idea.
I thought, oh, I'll just do the much recommended fdisk-l to list it on OmniOS, which Google keeps suggesting, but it absolutely does not have a list option. And I did find pertvrtruk, which of course gives the partitions but doesn't give types. So I learned a little about OmniOS partitioning. It's a journey. It's a journey. Anywho, that was what I came up with there. Before I touch on this rabbit hole that can be extremely short, anything from Steve, or it looks like Daniel Bell had to take off. Anyone, anyone? And I'm booting that host if we want to, that VM rather, if we want to poke at it. But I've put a few too many decades into all things kind of block storage and partitioning and all that, and came up with some observations related to FreeBSD. If you care about the subject, you are welcome to take a peek. And I've made some observations and suggestions. And funny, it should be on the same user, but whatever. Um, we we're not as confusing as OpenBSD, but we have things like ISO images that are USB mem sticks, which are not ISO images, and VM images that are raw images and not, say, in addition to VMDK and friends. But I will attempt to scroll down to some of the meat here. Uh, in having my nose under the hood on partitioning, I noticed things like G alignment's different if you use Gpart versus make img, which is used for VM images and installers. I noticed that labeling is kind of all over the map. I noticed a whole bunch of inconsistencies that are so close they look like almost sloppiness rather than really super good reasons to do that, but I could be wrong. I'm totally happy to be wrong, but I documented what I found. You are welcome to poke at that. I'm attempting to scroll here if my machine's in the mood, but it's so things like, oh, you can release tools sometimes create the layout of the installer, and sometimes you get things like funny date stamps like 1970. I wasn't even here yet. You get
Epic 0.
Yes, bingo. You get Raspberry Pi images with no ZFS, but you do get, say, users and SSH enabled because, hey, you might be headless. So they're okay, that's cool. Well, is that useful elsewhere? And I did some kludges to do like U-boot partitions and say create a swap partition, deleted it, which could have sort of worked, but that meant it wouldn't renumber the partitions. So you get partitions 2 and 3, not 1 and 2. So it's just a whole bunch of little under the hood things that I belted out. And I even compared it to that aforementioned OmniOS image, which starts at offset 8, unlike 32, I think, or 40 in, or 34 and 40 in FreeBSD land, or 2048 in Debian land, just because. And then some unrecognized partition types, which is like, oh, let's just update the table inside of Gpart. So this kind of stuff, which is absolutely not for everyone, but uh, I have some nifty scripted stuff to leverage the heck out of VM images, root-on-ZFS, and creating, say, 16 on 15 effortlessly, hopefully on like the Raspberry Pi Port 64, whatever, because hey, all those ARM platforms are getting, say, a hypervisor. Anyway, that's been keeping me busy and it's been in the back of my head for a very long time. So if you're drowning in morbid curiosity, there it is. But hey, we have covered some good ground. That Lumos system just booted. But hey, I don't know if it has an equivalent to Gpart, which is a full-featured partition management tool. I would argue one of the best around, but that's just a little biased here. It treats me well. So it is about 22:57. Other topics, questions, ideas, cool stuff. Let's remind ourselves to reach out about the latest and greatest Intel hardware for Rob to try for his new Shaw 512, as I recall. Goodies. The SD-CAN registration is open for those who want to meet in person in Ottawa. And don't ask me about the increases in air travel costs.
We talk about, the increase or lack of availability of hard drives and memory. And
That one too, yeah.
Yeah.
that Western Digital announcement is painful.
Well, was that the whole, oh, it's February. We've made our annual supply.
Yeah. Good
Have a
luck
nice
getting
day.
anything before 2027. Yeah.
I believe there was a Doonesbury joke hiding in there, which was, oh, we have seasonal Twinkies. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, they bake them all in February.
Yeah. Anybody who wants to, start manufacturing hard drives, there's a
About
market.
3 years ago.
So, Stu, does that cramp your style, to put it politely, for your employer?
It makes things a little more challenging, yes, for one facet of our organization.
Yeah. The beauty of software-defined storage is, wow, you don't have to deal with much of your own hardware, but why not? Ew.
Just
Well,
someone does.
Rob, any news from user space ZFS?
No, not at the moment.
Oh,
I mean, what can I have nothing to show. I do have it. I do have the module. Like I do have a daemon that works, and I have a way to communicate with it from the ZFS tools. But I can't actually create or import a pool yet because uh, everything's quite wedded to the idea that there are real devices. So I'll disentangle those. Even your file back pools, there's still a lie inside, so I have something to do there. But it's cool that I have a way to do that. But I'm still prototyping, really, so not really. It was fun.
can you share the motivating use case that inspired, perhaps beyond just the good of their hearts, someone to sponsor this work?
Um,
How delicately can I ask that?
no, that's fine. Uh, I, yeah, I don't, I haven't, for the video, I will not say the name of the employer, though it's very easy
Yeah,
to
no
find
worries.
going to the
No
socials.
worries. Just
But basically they heard me yelling about things we could do in user space and went, that's interesting to us. So I started there a couple of weeks ago. My point in saying this is I still haven't quite figured out where all the information is yet, because I'm rapidly coming to speed on much stuff. But there is interest in a like a backup stream receiver that is not in the kernel,
amen.
which is sort of one of the old famous ones.
Yep.
There is interest in Fuse, of course, and particularly, or even like en route, start the start the fuse side of things like in the init manifest before you pivot into the
Interesting.
system. Um,
Okay.
which is an interesting idea. Sorry about the sirens. There's been fire trucks blasting past for the last couple of minutes.
It got filtered out for me.
So, good luck, everyone. And there's also some interest in um, for like containerized workloads. Like, what if you could give every application its own ZFS rather than just passing block devices through into a container? Um,
Interesting.
so there are no concrete plans here. And then there's also a bunch of other angles, like, lots of programmers on staff, not a lot of kernel programmers on staff. What if we could give them a user space program that they can hack on? Maybe they can actually add some features without it being reliant on, the two or three kernel developers that are swapped with every other damn thing. Um, those kind of things. So I think it's mostly there's a few sort of not quite concrete, but like more developed ideas, but also an understanding to some degree that like if we had this substrate, that might unlock a whole bunch of stuff that we haven't thought of yet, which was always my kind of
Amen.
contention. So yeah,
Well, I'm
but so
hopeful
far,
that we haven't discovered the most useful features yet, because it'll take people come from left field to come up with something we can't, the
I
bunch of us can't see.
I agree. I
Awesome.
agree. I would love to read the blog post that is not I tried ZFS on root because that was the most outrageous thing I can think of. But I embedded it into my calculator, and here's what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And now I get to compute checksums by hand every time. Uh, okay, I would read the hell out of that. I would watch that movie every day. Anyway,
Nice.
but yes, it
Well,
would be cool.
any closing thoughts, observations, you name it. Oh, gosh, I can think of four candidates who would like to do the honors. Don't leave me hanging here.
I was going to say,
Like
but
and
are you
subscribe.
going to select one? Oh, there.
No, it's kind of cool when people just dive in because then they like are they're thespians about it rather than just grumble.
Even better when someone talks over the top of them. I'm
Well,
sorry.
that ah.
Well, you can like it, you subscribe it, or not. It's up to you.
Well, thank you, everyone. That was awesome, as always. And keep up the good work. Andrew, I hope you work out those ACL-related panics. We'll try to find you some hardware, Rob. And I hope this stealth hard drive manufacturer with 20 years of experience comes back like Rodime or someone who we didn't realize was always there and has 30 terabyte drives for like $300. Anyway, I can dream. Take care, y'all.
Better all.